Thank you, Vikas. Good afternoon, all the distinguished panelists and the delegates. I'm cognizant of the facts of the time, and I'll be just brief and touch upon only very limited selected points. We have already heard how the utilities are facing challenges of modern technology, renewables, distributed generations, electric vehicles, and many more. I'll just touch upon two more points which are very specific to India, or maybe at least not very relevant for developed countries. One is making electricity accessible. I'll just give you an example of the state where I am the chairman of the Regulatory Commission, Jharkhand. In last 5 years, the number of household connections has gone up from 29 lakhs, that is 2.9 millions, to 5.7 millions, almost double. 2.8 millions new household connections were added in just 5 years. And also remember, the 50% addition, the similar addition, are those customers who are at most disadvantaged position, remotely located, poor people who did not access the electricity earlier. So this is the expansion point. Second point is tariff restructuring. In India, historically, tariffs were set where the industries or the commercial customers cross-subsidized domestic and agriculture. As the India has now an ambitious Make in India program, the possibility of this cross-subsidizing is going away. And the substitution of government subsidizing the domestic and agriculture has been a very difficult journey, to the extent that utilities do not get subsidy on time, and that creates a huge cash flow problem for the utilities to manage. So there are others, but I'll just move to other topic, regulatory structure, just to save time. The biggest legal framework which the utility or the sector will face is the Act 2003, is itself under amendment process. And the key amendment, I'll just mention one, where there is a proposal to separate carriage and content. Now that will completely change the utilities structure. Of course, that is good for the consumer, that is good for the sector, but the utilities will have a severe constraint, having on the one hand, they have the long-term PPAs for their 90% of the power requirement, and at the same time, they will now face the suppliers, competitive suppliers, for all the, in the change scenario. The tariff policy itself is under review, and the major changes proposed are right now, because of this cash flow problem and many other issues, network problem, quite often the utilities are not able to supply the quality supply. And when at this stage, when we talk about quality, we are generally meaning reliability, available, and voltage and frequency range. We don't even talk about many other quality aspects of the electricity. So the new tariff policy will have penal provision for the utilities if they don't stick to this reliable quality supply. Losses are also very huge. The kind of expansion I told you, and therefore there will be limit of 15%, though at this moment quite often it is 24, 30% of losses. As I told you, the subsidy is now being provided by the customers, by the government, but quite often the subsidy comes late, and therefore there is a thought process of allowing the subsidy only directly to the customers. So as far as utilities are concerned, they will charge the full tariff fixed by the commission, and the government will give the tariff directly. And the cross-subsidy limitation through the law itself, it is being proposed because of the reason I explained to you. Now, in India, we have the regulatory structure where you have a Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, which does the regulation for the generations owned by the government or having impact on more than one state. And each state has its own regulatory commissions. We at the state level have taken several initiatives, like in tariff reforms. We have reduced the cross subsidy significantly, and now any cross subsidy has to come, any subsidy has to come from the state government. We, we are cognizant of the fact that utilities need to invest huge amount. It is not just the smart grid. Distribution network has to be upgraded. When you are talking about rooftop solars, you have generators all around. The whole network is designed right now where electricity flow from one side right up to the consumer. Now the entire network needs upgradation to the extent that it has to accommodate prosumers, and therefore in annual revenue requirements, most of the states, including us, have started allowing additional expenditure on the upgradation of the structure. Some of the states like Uttar Pradesh has taken initiative in introducing blockchain technology for trading among the consumers. We at Jharkhand and Maharashtra have an advantage that we have overlapping distribution licenses. In Jharkhand, we have 5 distribution licenses, and they have overlapping jurisdictions. So last year, we have introduced parallel licensing regulations where the consumers can move from one DISCOM to another to take electricity, either completely move or continue to remain on the network of the one distribution network and take the power from the other. Now, these are the changes. I must say that World Utility Summit have organized, brought out the utility, and utilities are facing the maximum challenges. I'm quite sure that this conference will provide an opportunity to share the learning of global learning, developed countries, but at the same time be suitable to the local challenges. Thank you.